Hello mga kalopi, welcome to Juneau, Alaska. So yung Juneau po ay capital city siya ng Alaska at sasama ko sa isang tour ngayon at ipapakita ko yung ganda ng Juneau. Let's go mga kalopi! Tracy's King Crab Shack, isa sa mga dinadayo dito sa Juneau, Alaska. So kung makikita nyo, yan o, napakahaba ng pila. So, yung mga guest na to is galing sa mga iba't ibang cruise ship dito na daang sa port ng Juneau. So, yan yung galing barko to ng RCCL. Then, yun yung Holland America Line. At yung doon sa kabila is yung Princess, yung white. So, yan. So, pupunta ako ngayon ng library building kasi doon yung meet up namin.
Alright guys, well, welcome to Juneau, Alaska. This is a true Juneau day here. It rains a lot. We are in a temperate rainforest, and what makes it a temperate rainforest is all of this rain here. Now, I will be your guide for the next 5 hours. My name is Elizabeth, and welcome to Juneau. Thank you. So again, my name is Elizabeth. Our driver right now is Eric, and Eric here is also Eric here is also a full-time guide here at Gastineau Guiding. We do a little bit of everything. We do a little bit of driving, a little bit of guiding, a little bit of dock wrapping. We're even our own janitors. So today we are doing a photo safari, and this photo safari consists of a land portion and a sea portion. We are going to be starting off with the land portion, and this is going to take us through the Tongass National Forest, where we're going to do a nice little hike about 3/4 of a mile. There is one short steep section. If you have any questions or reservations about this, let me know. We do have some walking sticks available, and again, if you have any questions, reservations about that, let us know. We will be out there for about an hour, and we're photographers, so you know what that means. We're going to be stopping every couple of minutes. So that is how we're going to be doing our hike today. Now, the second portion of our day will be spent out at sea. We will be going over to Stetter Harbor on Bay and loading up on one of our specially designed whale watching photography boats. So these boats are completely enclosed for a day like today, and they have windows that open upward and inward, so you still get an unobstructed view of whatever's in the water without having to get wet. So we're gonna go ahead and load up these boats out there, and there is a little section in the front and the back of the boat. If any of you are still interested in stepping outside of the boat to take those photos, that will be available for you guys as well. Now, in between that land portion and that sea portion, we're going to have a little snack break and a little bathroom break. So we're gonna have all of that covered for you guys. Now, how many of you are visiting Juneau for the very first time today? Awesome. How do you like it so far? A little wet, for sure. It's definitely different for me as well. I grew up in Central California, in the Central Valley, not the Central Coast. So I was basically living in the desert, lots of sunny days, hardly any rain. And out here, the weather is the complete opposite. 85% of our year is just like this. We have a lot of cloud coverage and a lot of rain, and that is what makes this place so beautiful and lush and green. And that's why we have a beautiful temperate rainforest out here. Now, we are the capital of Alaska. So Juneau is the capital of Alaska, and as such, we have our number one employer is the state. Our second biggest employer is tourism, and our third biggest employer is going to be fisheries out here. But that wasn't always this case. Juneau Q was really built on mining, and their biggest gold mine that ever existed here in the United States was actually located across the channel here on Douglas Island. Might be a little hard to see right now. You can kind of see the mountaintops over on the other side. Now, I have the beautiful privilege of saying that I live in a remote Pacific island, Douglas Island over there. And on the south end of that island are the remains of Treadwell Mine, which again was the biggest mining operation that existed in the United States.
Ayun, kakababa lang namin ng sasakyan At grabe mga ka-Luffy, sobrang lakas ng ulan dito. So buti na lang pinahiram kami ng raincoat. So yun, sunod namin. At una namin pupuntahan ngayon is yung Mendelhall Glacier. So ipapakita ko yung ganda ng glacier. So let's go. Lalakad kami papuntang destination namin. Ang ganda. Ang ganda dito mga ka-Luffy.
And as the glacier receded, it left behind rock, just like this over here. And that rock quickly got covered up by that moss because we are in such a moist environment and moss loves it here. So it just takes over everything here. And I'm going to refer to what happens after the glacier recedes as mass and it's that. And it's
Amazing.
And we're gonna go check out some pretty interesting wildlife right now that's in our streams right now. So we're gonna go ahead and check that out. There's a couple swimming over there. Do you guys see them?
Oh, yes,
Do you
yes.
see them? They're kind of at the edge. And you can see their little tails kind of popping down there, over there as well.
Yeah.
They're red, right over
Orange.
there. Now the water is pretty high right now. As mentioned, it's high and warm. But we can see the salmon hanging out right here. There's about 16 salmon right here at the moment. Where? At least that's what I counted yesterday. There might be more now. A little high today. Granite rock. This is what we refer out here to a glacial erratic. And we call this a glacial erratic because it was brought down by the glacier. So glaciers are frozen flowing rivers, and as they're flowing down, they're bringing a lot of debris with them. And sometimes that debris can be as big as this glacial rock right here, this granite rock. And the closest granite mountain is a couple of miles past where the glacier is currently at. So this rock has traveled quite a distance to get here. And here we can see that moss, that thin layer of moss, that M in mass, the first thing that comes into the environment and starts taking over. And then we have the A in mass, these alder trees. And this alder tree you can see is growing right out of the rock. This alder tree here is really important for the environment. It is a nitrogen fixer. That means that it takes nitrogen from the air and it introduces it into the ground. And if you do any gardening, you know that fertilizer has a lot of nitrogen in it because plants love nitrogen. So these plants right here, these trees, these alder trees, they are making it possible for other plants to come into the environment and be nice and happy with the nitrogen. Now we have these other plants right in front, this right here and that plant right over there. This is Devil's Club and you'll see that there's a lot of thorns on it. Now this is a plant that you don't want to touch because those thorns do break off and you have blisters all over your hands. So we want to make sure that we avoid touching that one. And you'll see a lot of this everywhere. Now we're going to go ahead and continue our way up here. The line that I was talking about earlier. Remember those leading lines? We have a leading line that top that we came from. We have a leading line headed down that way. We have a lot of pattern out here. We have all of this.
Sobrang ganda dito. Sulit kahit maulan. Nakakamangha. Sobrang hindi mo ma-explain yung nakikita mo dito. So, sobrang ganda. To, tingnan nyo yung puno na to. Sobrang ganda. As in.
Right over here, please. I'd like to have all of you guys, please, go ahead and gather up right over here. I think we might have a bear with us. So, can we have him come back over here? I don't think so. Did you see that? No?
Yeah, just here. Little one.
Little one, okay. Where did you
Behind the tree. Behind the tree. So it cannot be a man, so it's okay.
We'll see. We'll just keep an eye over here. I want to make sure you guys get really nice and close together, so please do gather up. Like, gather up as close as you possibly can. And we're going to step off the path real quick. So step this way. And I'm just going to keep an eye over here. I did not see it. It might have been her making her way down, because on the other side of this is her path. So right on that side.
Okay, in the middle.
In the middle.
Yeah.
Did you see it walking that way,
No,
that way, or this
left
way?
from right.
Say it again?
Left, from left to right.
It might have been her, because her path goes from the left to the right. Yeah,
It's not a good, it's not problem.
we make our path right around the corner, we go that way.
Because it goes back, you know, that's why it was black and it was between this field and the other field. But okay, maybe
I feel like
sure,
it might have
because
been
it was a small
her.
one. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like it might have been
Okay,
her.
no problem.
We're gonna go ahead and just make our way up here, and we'll just keep our eyes peeled. Make sure that we're traveling pretty close together here, guys. And we'll keep our eyes peeled. Since she just made her way down, now we're gonna do the same path. 拍照马上拍照。人家想看都看不到。So the path that we're taking will take us right behind these trees, and I feel like it might have been a head that kind of popped through the top.
Sobrang lakas ng tubig.
Now for those of you that have an iPhone, I want you to take a couple of live photos. proceed it along.
No, we will.
So right now is this little shack right in front of us. So that shack is the same shack that's right here in the picture and all right in front of us with that glacier between 1938 to 1940, and we're gonna stop there for a little bit.
Иди сюда. Можешь. Это лисичка огромная.
For those of you that took any of those live photos with your cell phone, we're gonna go ahead and turn them into long exposure. So if you took any of those live photos with your iPhone, go ahead and look through one of them right now. So once you have that live photo, we're gonna go ahead and turn it into a long exposure. Click on the live button on the top left corner, and then click on long exposure. And that is how you can do a long exposure with your iPhone.
Ano kasi maulan. Kaya nababasa yung lens ng camera. Lumalabo. Grabe, sobrang lamig dito. Ganda ng lugar. So, sila yung mga kasama ko dito sa tour. Sumabit lang ako sa kanila. Nang masilayan ko ang ganda ng Juneau dito sa Alaska.
And keep on making our way over here. Is for 1916. So that means that the glacier came out to this point all the way across back in 1916.
1916年的冰山是在这里冰，现在融掉了。
And we'll see a couple more of these ice limit markers, and they all indicate where that glacier was at that point in time.
Yan mo, 1916 pa. Wow. Amazing.
Now you can try that long exposure out here as well. So if you have your iPhone, take one of those live photos and then turn them into long exposures and see what you get from these photos right here. The iPhone like it's the end of summer, we're ready to go.
Oh my god.
So these leaves here, they're changing color, and you can see that color again. We're attracted to it immediately. We see bright red and all of this green, and we're immediately like, oh, there's color. So that's a nice little thing to photograph there as well. When you tried that portrait mode, remember that portrait mode that we talked about? It makes that shallow depths of field. If you get really up and close,
Would look nice.
yeah, that would look really nice here because they would make everything else disappear in the back. These that kind of look like acorns, they're northern ground cone. They're really cool to photograph as well. I was talking about these right here. These are northern ground cone. And that's something that bears like to eat. Right before they go into hibernation, they will dig up the roots and consume the roots. Yeah, that is northern ground cone right there. Thing that comes into the environment, it takes over everything. You've seen it over everything out here. Then we have these alder trees that come into the environment. There's another one back here, and these alder trees are those nitrogen fixers that introduce that nitrogen into the ground. And then we have the conifers that come in. And this is that first conifer that comes into the environment. This right here is a spruce tree, and we see them everywhere. You see all these tall, straight trees out here? All of them are spruce trees. And these spruce trees are again those first ones that come into the environment, which means that they're not competing for sunlight. They get all the sunlight that they want, and they have pretty small needle-like leaves that really love sunshine. They do not like being in the shade. The last conifer that comes into the environment is this hemlock here, and you will notice a couple of differences, like the blades. Their little leaves, these here are broader than these ones, and these broader leaves make it possible for these guys to survive in that shade so they can absorb more light, and they will be growing a whole lot slower than those spruce trees. But once they hit maturity at about 200 years, they are going to be taller than anything else out here. And when they're taller, they're going to be casting some shade onto these guys right here. And remember, they like sunshine. When they're not having that sunshine, they're not very happy. So when these guys get nice, big, and tall, these guys will start disappearing from the environment. So these guys will start dying off over here. So this, again, are spruce and hemlock. And this is that mash story. So we got that moss that comes in first, then the alders, then the spruce, and then that hemlock. And we kind of know everything that we're seeing around us now. It's pretty repetitive. We are in a pretty young rainforest right now, so that means that we have a lot of alder trees, we have a lot of spruce, we have a couple of the hemlock out here. And this right here is the willow. Here, these are baneberries, and they're very similar to another berry out here that's alderberry. These guys are a little shiny, so that's how I can tell them apart from the other berries, and they're a little bit bigger, a little more plump than the other berries.
So ayun, nandito na kami sa final destination namin sa Mendelhall Glacier. So yan, ipapakita ko sa inyo.
There's two more out there. Do you guys see like that little red dot right in front of the glacier?
natural?
Yes. Yeah, it's all ice. Yeah. And you see that
Marami
little
yung
red dot?
nagpapapicture
That's
dun sa
a little
baba.
canoe. So it just gives you some perspective on how big this glacier is. We're about 1.5 miles away from it.
天然的，
So it just gives you a little perspective on the height of this glacier here.
Ito yung Mendelhall Glacier.
And as you guys are
So,
ready,
isa sa
the
mga
bathrooms
tourist
are
spot dito
located
sa
at the very
Juneau,
bottom of
Alaska,
this ramp.
yung
So we're gonna
Mendelhall
be making our way
Glacier.
down this ramp over here. At the bottom of the ramp. Yeah, at the bottom of the ramp.
So,
are the
sobrang ganda
restrooms
dito,
here.
mga ka-Lofi.
So whenever you guys
Kung
are ready,
ma-experience
we're gonna go ahead and
nyo,
keep on making our way down here. And the restrooms
sobrang
are at the very bottom
ganda.
of the ramp.
Nakakamangha yung ano dito, yung mga makikita mo. Welcome to the Steep Brick Salmon Viewing Trail. So, hindi makita yung mga salmon dahil malubog yung tubig. Kanina kasi bago kami pumunta dito is malakas yung ulan, tsaka non-stop. So, ayun, napakagandang experience yung nangyari dito sa Juneau. At isa ako sa mga napili sumama dito. So, sakay na ulit kami ng bus. So, nandito kami ngayon sa Stater Harbor. So, change location na kami. Sakay kami ng boat. Yung boat na yan. Yan. So, dito kami sasakay sa Ranger boat.
Here, and then Captain Andy will bring his way over here and give you guys a couple of little safety tips.
How you doing?
How are you?
Hi, Andy.
Hi, Andy.
Let's not waste any time. Just step right up and over here. Buddy to hold on to. Stick with the great feet. Watch out.
That exhale is going to create a spout, and that is what we're looking for today. So if you see a spout, shout it out. Let us know. And we're going to orient ourselves with the boat here. So the very front of the boat will be 12 o'clock. This side of the boat will be 3 o'clock, and the very back of the boat will be 6 o'clock, and over on this side will be 9 o'clock. Now, if you learned how to read clock way back in like 3rd or 4th grade, and it's been digital all the way ever since, it takes you a couple of seconds to figure out where on the clock that is. That's all right. If you see a spout, shout it out and point in the direction that you saw that spout. That way we know where to look. Now, if we see that spout, we're likely to see this beautiful elongated dorsal fin here, this little humpback. This is how they got their name. So we'll see that spout, we'll see this beautiful dorsal fin, and if they're showing off, we might get to see their beautiful tails. Now, there are other marine life out here that can sometimes trick us into believing we have a humpback whale with us. Now, if we see something come out of the water and we don't see that spout, it might be a cheeky sailor sea lion that's just popping its head out, just looking around, trying to see what's out here. But again, if you don't see that spout, it might not be a humpback whale. So we know we have a humpback whale when we have that spout and we have that dorsal fin. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if we get to see that tail, it'll make for some great photos, but it's also scientifically important because that is how we can identify these whales, and that is how we can track these whales. So every single one of these humpback whales will have a very unique tail. Unique as our fingerprints. So just like all of us have different fingerprints, every single one of them will have a different tail. And that is going to vary in color and patterns. So they will have little white patterns on their tail, and that will vary. And also their shape of their tail will vary. And that is how we can identify these humpback whales here. Now, this is something that we just found out in the 70s. This is not something that we always knew.
Good big tail.
It's gonna come up.
Oh, wow.
What's that?
Laki.
Well, that guy's dope.
So, yung dalawa. Ang laki.
This is good.
This is amazing.
Look at those guys. Actually caught the slightest whiff of their breath there a minute ago. Not all that edifying an experience.
Laki, oh.
Wow.
Oh. Dalawa sila.
Good little guy. Oh, look at that.
Yay!
Ah, 2 at once. This is is almost like bubble net feeding.
This is the first time I get it on video. Oh,
Very cool. Awesome. Bubble net, too wet.
I saw one. I identified it as tuck.
Mm-hmm.
I was so surprised that they apparently never showed the tail.
Yeah, right. Very cool. When I was diving, another bite. Oh, yeah. Traveling right now. I think. Big mellow move.
Oh, shit. 这是弱呀！它这样，它它的尾巴，它的尾巴反正好，尾都画黑色的，对，有白色的。你看这一根白，刚才那个就没有。
Oh! Nice.
I think they're having whales right there.
Oh!